I am Feel It.
And I am Fix It. And we talk about life.
And stuff and things.
With the occasional rant.
Which you will have no problem doing.
Hello. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good night. Whatever it is, wherever you are, we hope you're having a good one.
Yes. Agreed.
It is a very cool morning this morning.
It's not morning anymore.
Okay, afternoon. It's early afternoon. Okay. It's still morning
It is.
to
It's
me.
very nice. It's very nice out, though.
Yeah, it's low 60s. A little bit sunny.
I'm okay with it.
It's kind of a cool, damp afternoon.
I'm alright.
Early afternoon. It was raining
It's
yesterday.
going to be super yucky in a few days.
Okay.
80s, rain, stormy,
Yep.
humid, bleh,
Yep.
yucky.
Yeah, I spend my nights in a giant metal box. It's packed full of 100 machines kicking out better than 100 degrees all day, every day. Yeah, 80's fine.
Are you aware of some of the symptoms I've been having?
Sure, but 80's fine. I'll take 80. I will happily take 80.
I mean, it's a feat that I'm even sitting here as I am with a long sleeve sweatshirt and a sweatshirt and a blanket.
Mm-hmm.
Pants and a blanket.
Yeah, you've got like a 3-degree window where you're comfortable.
Yeah.
And then you're suddenly not.
It's pretty awful lately.
Yeah.
But,
Lately, I mean, you've
the
had
last couple months have been
okay, sure.
rough.
But I mean, for the last 20 years, you've had maybe a 6-degree window. If it was within these 6 degrees, you were good. And the second you went below that, you were freezing, and before you went above that, you were
As
hot.
I studied mast-cell activation syndrome, extremes in temperature change. Actually, it's a symptom. It's one of the issues. I never realized I don't have the extensive rash that they say that you can get, but I do get itchy.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
It's a very strange issue to have, and I never put it together until I was diagnosed.
Yeah, and
I don't tolerate extries at all.
And
Literally itchy.
Well, I mean, not even
literally itchy.
Yeah, but a lot of it hasn't even been extremes. I mean, it's between, for the longest time, it was like anywhere between like 68 degrees and 73 degrees. You were fine.
Yeah, I'm good. Even mid-70s.
That's like 8 days out of the year.
Mid-70s, I'm good. It just depends.
As long as it's not humid.
Listen, as long as it's not humid.
Yeah, well, and that's my big caveat.
I could even do 80s.
But,
and some breeze. How about that?
Yeah. Sure.
Just a few other factors besides straight sun and humidity.
Yeah, but...
Gross.
it just, to me, I'm kind of opposite. I don't like being cold. Like right now, I am freaking cold. I don't like it at all.
I know.
I don't
What's
like
wrong with
But
you?
at the same time, I go out in the freaking snow and do what I got to work on cars, fix crap equipment at the building. I fixed people's cars in the parking lot during blizzards at work before. And it's like, it is what it is.
You're amazing. Is this pick on me day? What is this?
No, it's just very different. It's like where you're comfortable, I am not.
Yes, mid-70s, even high 70s with some breeze.
Sure, and I am perfectly okay with that.
I'm golden.
But
those are few and far between days.
Yeah, you say 80s, it's going to be miserable. It's like, when it's 80 here, I'm going to go to work, and it's going to be at least 85 where I'm not working. Or I should say, where there's the department where we camp out until we're needed. And that's going to be, if it's 80 outside, it's 90 to 95 in the building.
I don't think it'll be 80 at night.
If it was 80 during the day, it's 90 at night when I get there.
I'll take your word for it.
Inside the building, we've had, in some areas, get up over 120 degrees. And then when you're working on the machines, there's areas they have absolutely no breeze. It's just stagnant
our
air.
daughter will have a great time.
On the upside, where she's working isn't in those areas. It's towards the aisleway that she's at, where the big garage doors and the exhaust fan is. It's on the other end of the machine, where all the stuff that breaks that I have to work on is at. And there's no breeze at all. And it's just, I don't care who you are, you're going to be sweating. And it's not going to be a good time. But that is what you do.
Not pleasant.
No. Well, sometimes I got to climb inside machines where it's just trapped heat. There's no breeze. There's barely any light. There's no fresh air. You're just kind of in this little space trying to do crap, work on crap that the engineers obviously hated mechanics. So it's a little different. You don't handle extremes, and I live a good chunk of my life in extremes.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Yeah.
Worse now than ever before.
And so it's gonna be in the 80s. It's like, okay,
controlled basement to work out in, and
yep.
I'll walk the dog this weekend. Because when it's rainy, she doesn't want to go either.
No.
So
no, she does not like getting. She does not like the rain.
Plan for those things.
Not a. It's the staffy in her is like does not like getting wet.
And I would tell you that even being in that air-conditioned office helps, but it doesn't. No. It doesn't, because it's not like it's constantly running.
Yeah.
And
see,
small enclosed space.
I go out of my way
hot flashes.
Well, like at work, the break rooms all have their own AC to give people a comfortable spot to have a break. Well, sometimes they turn that thing up to like 62 degrees. When it's 90 plus degrees out on the floor, and then you go in there, it's a 30-degree drop, and it is like a punch to the face. And then when you leave, it's like another punch to the face. It's like walking into an oven. It's like, why are you doing that? Well, I wanted to cool off. It's 85 degrees out there. You set that at 72. That's a 10-degree drop. You're not going to get cold, but it is cool when you walk in there, and you get a chance to relax. It's like you crank it up like that, and it's painful. It's like it's like. Yeah, well, nope. I guess I just won't be coming into the break room. It's like
the electric bill is also painful in the summer.
It is, but their electric bill, the AC is just a drop in the bucket compared to for what we do. You've got machines that have.
We're talking about hours.
Oh, sure, but that's the AC's. I mean, it's not an insignificant component to our bill. To be fair. It's a market change, but it's like at work, the AC, the machines running are. Electric heat is the most inefficient way to generate heat. It just is. Electric space heater, it's cheaper to run gas than it is to run an electric heater most of the time. Any resistive load is not efficient. And all of our machines, every last one of them, is just packed full of electric heaters. Big electric heaters. 4,000 watt electric heaters. More than what you can run in your house. Like one machine pulls more power than a house does. And some of our big machines is like the block. I guarantee our block doesn't use as much power as one of these machines do in a day.
Very complex.
So their electric bill, the AC is a drop in the bucket. It's just dude, why?
I'm wondering when I should rein you in.
Yeah, just saying. It's one of those things, I guess. I'm ranting. I get it. Like I rabbit trail and a half.
Don't know. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. Like I just was commenting. I don't even remember if I actually did it when we started recording that it was going to be warmer this week.
Yep.
But anyway, because that's how far down that rabbit trail you went.
Yes.
That I don't even remember when I said it.
You did. You said it earlier, right at the beginning. That's where it kind of went from there. Like anyway, we just say it. It's like 80s. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be warm. Okay. Like,
I know.
But then again, I've been in South Carolina and Georgia in the summer.
Choices.
That's muggy.
Choices.
Holy crud, that's muggy.
Choices.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was just. You sweat through your clothes in the first 10 minutes of being outside. It's a good time.
Okay.
Okay. So, my standards are way different. And then your medical stuff adds a compounded susceptibility to temperature, and just, put it all together. It's a good time.
No, it's really not.
Not really.
No. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
That, it's funny when, I'll rabbit for a second. When I was diagnosed with perimenopause at 36, almost 36, and I started hormone replacement therapy. There were other symptoms, there were other things. There's been so many things for so many years. And I was talking yesterday with somebody, kind of a little bit about this, the current situation, where when I said, last summer, I started having what I felt were hot flashes. And I let a doctor convince me that I was probably feeling effects from long-term pain. And I did. I totally got gaslit into it. I guess it might be, because I am 10 years older. I know there's this odd misconception when I tell people I think I am actually now in the stages of menopause. No, that can't be. And, it's not till you're older. And I don't know, man. Is there a definitive clock on that stuff? Because I never heard that there was, but yeah, let's just say going off that hormone replacement therapy in March led to some really wicked stuff. And now we're in a journey to get back to some relief. But it was very eye-opening to feel the changes. And now summer's coming and I'm cringing a lot because we barely got some of it under control. It's more the night sweats and night hot flashes than during the day. The day seems to be a little bit more under control. Of course, I don't know. I also think that it's cycling around, and I have yet to. It hasn't only been a few weeks, so I'm not thrilled. I'm not thrilled that it's already going to be in the 80s, and when I'm barely comfortable as it is. So there's my whiny rabbit hole.
Well, it is going to be June in a few hours.
I know.
Just saying.
I know. It's funny. Funny how that works.
Yep.
Is it still spring because it's not technically summer? I don't know. It's summer. It's unofficial summer. That's what we call it in Michigan. I don't know if they call it that anywhere else.
Yep.
Memorial Day is unofficial summer.
Sure.
Schools, if they are not already out, then they'll be out this coming week.
Yep.
It's summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Was that joke? It's like, I really love summers in Michigan. Last year it was on a Thursday.
If you want that kind of stuff, you can go out west. But anyway.
Yeah.
And northern Michigan is different than southern Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
By far and away.
Yeah.
And the UP different than northern lower.
I wouldn't be entirely surprised if all the snow hadn't melted where your aunt's at.
It's very possible. It's very possible. I mean, they had a rough winter this year. Haven't had a normal one in a while. So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Very different.
Yes.
And coming off of Lake Superior, the winds and the things coming off of Lake Superior. Very different shielding than what we have here. Yeah.
They have one of the greatest AC units in the world, Lake Superior. It's a giant heat sink. That lake never warms up.
That's a true story. And while you're introing into whatever it is we're going to talk about, I'm going to look up that house and see if it's still for sale and be fun. But actually, let's just rant for a second longer while I look that up. So just to kind of recap and come off from the crazy that we described last week, things have been calmer, which we've appreciated. Short work week, which everybody appreciates.
Mostly.
relatively productive.
Yes.
And now my phone's just going to be silly. Oh no, it looks like it's gone. That's so sad.
Well.
Oh no, it's not. No, it's not. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but it's a barn dominium, 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, almost 3,100 square feet, 49 acres, on Lake Superior, in Houghton. So, I mean, far out from the city of Houghton.
Yeah, but
it's Houghton.
That is.
The Keweenaw Peninsula, I do believe.
Okay.
It is on. I believe. Or not Keweenaw. Is it Keweenaw?
But I know the peninsula. Anyway.
My brain just fried out.
It probably has a name, and I don't know what it is.
My brain fried out for a second. Yes, it's the Keweenaw Peninsula. Beautiful. I mean, beautiful.
Sure.
$688,800. And it's been sitting at that price for a while.
Yep. And it's been for sale for a long while.
It has, according to the listing, 269 days.
Yeah.
But I stare at this every once in a while.
Sure.
Because the pictures of that view, unreal.
Well,
unreal.
And for those people that don't know where Houghton is, in the northern peninsula of Michigan, you drive until you think you've run out of civilization, and then you keep going for a little while, and then you realize you're in the middle of nowhere. It's an hour north of that.
So, when they, it's hard to do with your hand, right? So when they tell you to, the hands, like Michigan is hands. It's
one hand
true,
and
right. It's kind of true, right? So
I think I've always thought the UP kind of looked like a rabbit.
So, when you have your thumb up, like you have your hand up. Okay, you're looking at it sideways, and your thumb. It'd be the thumb. The thumb is the peninsula. You gotta have your thumb up a little bit, though. I know it's like the silliest thing ever.
Yep.
You don't know
the lower
if
peninsula.
You don't know what we're talking about, Google it.
Yeah.
We have some out of country listeners.
The lower peninsula of Michigan is shaped like
you take your
right hand with your palm towards you. Imagine it's a mitten. That's the shape of Michigan.
Okay.
The lower peninsula.
Up.
Now, if you take your left hand, you got your right hand up, palm towards you, fingers together, thumb out. That's lower peninsula. Then you take the your left hand and you put your fingers together.
And this is what I heard.
Your finger.
The pinky, the top of the pinky to your middle finger. Okay.
Yep.
Put that over it.
And that's kind of the shape of Michigan with its upper and lower peninsulas. And your thumb up on your left hand.
That would be the Keweenaw Peninsula.
That's the Keweenaw Peninsula. And we have one of the best technical schools in the country right there.
Michigan Technological University. Michigan Tech.
Michigan Tech. More people don't go to that school because it is in the middle of absolutely nowhere.
It really is. It's incredibly isolating.
Yes.
I've had several clients from the area.
If you want to actually study, it's a great place because you don't have a whole lot else to do. But was it some of the chemical engineers that went there back like 20 years ago? They got bored, so they developed an alternative to meth. Like that.
We called it MCAT. Wasn't that what it was called? It was
CAT. It was called CAT.
CAT.
Yep. 3-ingredient meth.
I would live at this place in a heartbeat. If life were different, in a heartbeat.
Yeah. The thing is, like, we could do that. When you could, at least in theory, do your job.
If I had internet access.
Yeah, good
internet
access.
Good
internet access. You could theoretically do your job there. Me, not so much.
I'm aware.
My job don't do remote. Kind of hard to turn a wrench over the internet.
But I can dream.
Mm-hmm.
I can dream staring at this. So, now that we've rabbit trailed and gone all kinds of everywhere.
And it's not even one of our longest.
It's really that kind of a week. It's been a long week with its own stresses for it being a short work week.
Mm-hmm. Well, the short work week is part of the stresses, I think.
Sometimes.
When it's like I average, it's like working. I'm averaging better than 50 hours a week for the most part, and I've had short, vacation days and stuff like that, I've been coming way short of that average. And I think I shouldn't need the overtime in a lot of ways, but I'm so used to it that when it's not there, it freaks me out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I admit it.
And all the real things I don't sit down and do, like, you know, our end of life documents, budgeting, you know, the stuff I kind of tried to sit down to do over last weekend, but I was tired. Didn't feel great. Did work outside.
Mm-hmm.
Summer just isn't the time to sit. I can't even make myself like sit and binge the rest of Daredevil. It's hard to sit in summer. Anyway, it's my own rant.
Sure.
I will finish it though. Finally in season 3 of the first one. Not the Reborn. First one.
Yep.
And I don't know if you're aware of this, but I couldn't go to sleep last night. So I ended up watching another one.
Okay.
And then I watched another one this morning.
Okay.
So I'm 2 episodes in.
Because it's completely appropriate to nothing, I guess. But I watched all the Jessica Jones, all the Punisher. I don't think I finished the Defenders because it just wasn't great, I guess. And then Iron Fist was just so poorly done that I watched a little bit of that one and it just kind of, you're spending this much money to create this story of a character that I wouldn't call beloved, but the fans are big fans of that. And you got a guy and you didn't even bother to take him to a martial arts class to show him some basic movements so he looks clunky and disjointed and completely unbelievable. He's supposed to be the best. The Iron Fist in comics is the greatest martial artist in the world, and you got a guy who moves like he's never seen a Bruce Lee movie, let alone studied.
I think I should probably bring you back.
Yeah,
we're gonna go down.
So it lost me. Anyway,
okay.
Not surprised that one didn't do well. Oh,
okay.
Just the one season. Shocker.
Yeah, you would feel this way. I may or may not agree with you.
I can't say I care that much, to be honest with you. Iron Fist was not one of my characters. One of those guys, I guess. It's probably the yellow bandana and the deep V-neck uniform. It's like his
Yikes.
V-neck goes down to like his belly button.
Yikes.
It was just weird. Got a yellow bandana and a freaking V-neck shirt with a high collar.
Oh no!
Who thought that?
Thank you.
This was obvious. Must have been the 70s, and the dude was on drugs. That's all I'm saying. It's like Elvis with the giant Humpty Dumpty collar. You know, it's like, yeah, there were drugs involved in that costume choice.
Okay.
Just
yes. Yes. All right. Okay. We should probably transition now. Let's have a super clunky transition while we're at it. Let's just do that.
Oh, yep, sure, okay.
Humpty Dumpty.
Oh, all over the place. That's okay.
I am Humpty Dumpty.
Well, hopefully the people that are, watching,
listening,
the people that are participating in this with us. Hopefully this is part of the equation that they enjoy.
Yeah, right. Right.
It's one part I don't think is going anywhere.
No.
Like, if you want structure, there are other podcasts to listen to.
Yeah, that ain't this.
Like, this is, like, the idea was to have some, like, on our end, it was to have some fun and to just talk and share.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully help somebody. Even if it's, okay, I'm not as weird as they are. I can live with that.
I guess we should share a slight update then. Our oldest had applied for a job, was offered a job, but unfortunately because of the increased requirement from what they'd advertised in the job posting, she's not going to be able to accept that job.
Yep.
But we're proud of her for getting out there and trying.
Oh, yeah.
And,
yeah.
So that was, last night was a little rough. Her processing that with us.
Sure. But,
But we're, it's one day at a time.
Yeah.
One day at a time.
It is, and it's always, if...
Thank God it was Friday. That's all I can say.
Thank God it was Friday.
Thank God it was Friday.
And like we told her, like, you're stressing yourself out. You don't need to do that. You're going to be fed, and you don't have rent to make. It'd be one thing if you were living on your own, and if I don't get a job like right now, then I'm going to be homeless. That's a completely different story than what you're dealing with.
Yeah, we've felt that. That ain't this.
Yeah, have been there, have done that. We had to figure crap out, and we did.
With babies.
With babies. We had to figure it out, and we figured it out, sort of, and we made it work, and we got to where we are now. That is not where you're at. You can breathe. It's like, yes, by all means, you're going to feel the stress of looking for work and not being employed and having to budget again. And, it's like, okay, you no longer have money coming in. So every penny you spend, you better be sure you need to spend it. Yes, I understand all of that, but you can take a deep breath and go, I'm going to eat tomorrow. I got a roof over my head. The car's not going anywhere,
I'd rather she find a job that will actually suit her than try to shove herself into something. That's not going to be helpful.
No, there's something to be said for taking the job that's available, but not if I'm not sticking here.
Not at the expense of your mental and emotional health that is barely stable.
Sure. But, I mean, there's something to be said for, like, get busy. And then, while you're busy, but not so busy that you can't look for the thing you actually want.
Has she been helpful in other ways, trying to be anyway and active around the house? Yeah, she's been trying.
Yeah.
To fill her time because she was so not used to not working. The longest she'd been off was a week earlier this year, and she was sick.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, really sick. And she ended up having 5 days off from work. But it's figuring it out.
Yes.
Just figuring it out.
Just keeping her.
She's made some decisions about what she doesn't want. Great. Good to know.
That is, in a lot of ways, that's as important as figuring out what you do want. Because that'll narrow it down. Like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Like me, food service, I can tell you. Could I do it if I needed to? Sure, I could do it if I needed to. If I have any other options, I'm doing that. That's not where I'm at.
And our youngest would feel the same way.
Yeah. And she's done food service, and she's aware that, like, yeah, it attracts a certain type of person. That isn't her.
Yeah.
Yep. You know what? More power to you. You now understand a little bit more about yourself. And that's more important than the job itself, is you figured out, yeah, this ain't for me.
So.
And I tell that to people at where I work, and I've told people where I work, at the different places that I've worked, that they're really struggling. And it's like, this job it's like you're doing fine, but this job might not be the best fit for you. I'm not telling you to quit. There might just be, new guy struggles, because we all, there's a adjustment, no matter what you're doing.
Learning curves.
But not everybody's cut out to do factory work. Not everybody is cut out to do maintenance work like I do. Not everybody's cut out to work at a library or to be a teacher or to work in food service. There's there's what you can do, which I can do a lot of crap, and then there's where you fit, and that's something else entirely. We all have our own personalities and our likes and dislikes and our comfort levels and comfort zones and psychological hang-ups and abilities, and you got to find something that works with all of that. There's a reason why there's a million different kinds of jobs. And you got to find something that, well, I've probably mentioned it before, but I can't tell you, that you don't need to find a job you love. You need to find a job that you don't hate. It's like, and I don't mean like feeling hate. I mean, it's like if you have to violate your principles, don't work that job.
And that was the decision our daughter made.
If it can't emotionally and psychologically drain you to the point where you're not healthy, don't take that job. Or at least try it out. Don't stay there. Once you figure out, it's like, this is where this is not a healthy place for me to be. Leave. By all means, get out of there. Find something else. I'm not saying quit without having the next job lined up, but that might be the case that you need to do that. But I've told them as long as I can remember. You don't have to find a job you love. You do have to find a job you can live with. And without compromising yourself, without compromising who you are and what you stand for. And it has to be able to pay for your life. Yes. You can work a job that you're indifferent about, like factory work. I don't know anybody that's that is excited to go back to work. But they're like, yeah, I'm going to go to work, and I'm going to go to work, and I'm going to pay my bills, and I'm going to drive the car that I'm driving the car that I kind of like. I'm living in a house with my family, and I enjoy that quite a bit. I've got good food on the table. I have insurance that keeps us healthy, and I get a couple of weeks paid vacation years, and we're going to the mountains.
Yes,
we're getting a cabin down we're getting a cabin down in Tennessee, and we're going to take a week off, and we're going to have a good time. Like, yeah, it's like you have a job to support your life. You don't have a life to support your job.
It's a mindset. Yes.
It's a mindset. And it's like, do you have to love your job? No, but you got to make sure you don't hate the job and you don't hate yourself for having the job. And that could be a freaking talk in and of itself, but that wasn't where I was going today.
Yeah, I was debating on reining you back in there. Okay, so after another rabbit trail.
Sure. We're a half hour in and we haven't even talked about the
topic
we're going to talk about. Yeah.
One of those days.
It's one of those days, but in its own way, it's a good day.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, super chill so far. I got the little things I know I need to do, but.
Yeah, me too. Can't say I'm excited to do them, but yeah, there they are.
And then they're done. And I won't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, I wish I could say that. Stuff I got to do. I can't say I'm done. It's one more step in the chain. Oh, you mean
like working on the car?
Yeah, I'm not talking. It's like I give a crap about the yard work. I don't live that life. I mow the lawn. I knock things back. Well, that's when you
move the pavers once and it's over. Like, can we just get it over with? Like, that's how I feel. Things get started and then they don't get finished. Like, I know I live in neurodivergent city, but like it's. Man. Wow. Anyway, I know that you have an agenda, and then I had a couple things on my mind, and we'll see what actually happens. But it would be nice on a cool weekend to get that over with.
Yeah, and the cool weekend part cares. You care about that.
I'm not going to be outside when it's yucky.
And once I get started, I don't stop, and I don't care if the house is on fire. I'm going to stop when I'm done.
Okay.
So there's the difference. I
don't give crap. Come back.
The job's getting started. If I walk away, it's not going to be. Anyway. No, it's just, yeah. The car for me is a much higher priority than.
Sure, but how long is that going to take?
I have no idea.
Then it is what it is.
It could be a half hour, could be Monday.
Then it is what it is.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure there's other crap I got to order, and I'm really looking forward to that. Anyway. Just saying. Cars, man. Cars.
Is this because of the thing you broke? Or the actually trying to fix it?
It's trying to get to a root cause of a problem that I was trying to diagnose when other crap broke. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's an electrical issue, and I have some ideas on where it might be. And there's a part of me that's extremely leery to go there. But I don't have a choice. Got to do it anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. Good times.
All right.
And that's okay. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It's what I do. It's just when at work, I tear into something, and it's bad. Somebody else flits the bill for the parts.
Yeah.
And that's not an option at all.
That ain't us.
So if I goof it up in the process, I'm buying parts.
I mean, unless you got a rich mistress, you ain't giving up.
Yeah, no.
Just saying.
Yeah, no.
Heard a couple of those stories this week already. Well, one. I heard one.
One is too.
One that had several stories. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, that's another day, another topic. And no. 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 That's another rant I could go on, I guess. But no, I don't think so.
Okay. Deep breath. I mean, that is if you really still want to go here, because you picked it.
Yeah, no, and, I mean, sure. Completely. This is, like, in no way, shape, or form related to any of the conversation that we've had up to this point.
Absolutely not. No.
A lot of that was just updates and rants, man. That was...
Yep.
Good times. Yep, good times. 35 minutes in.
And that's what's like to live in neurodivergent city.
Or it's really quiet because nobody's talking. No middle ground. Or very little middle ground.
Because you're all hyper-focused on your phones. But anyway.
Or sleeping. Or just listening to stuff. Anyway,
let's see how far we get with this one.
Sure.
Okay.
Anyway. Okay, now here's the part. It's a little bit
just
funny.
Some rando quote.
It is. It's a post. Okay, it's a Twitter post.
An X post.
No. It's a Twitter post. No, it says right there, Twitter for iPhone. So it's an older post. Anyway, of somebody else quoting something else that they read. So I'll read it the way that they put it up there. Okay. Just saw this quote. When you aren't fed love on a silver spoon, you'll lick it off of knives. And may y'all take care. And I saw that, and I was like,
truth.
There's a lot of truth in that statement right there, in a very unhealthy way. And we've all heard, seen, or said something very similar to that. When usually dealing with or somebody else's, or observing somebody else's kids, and they're all acting up. The parents get all mad and they're punishing the kid. And it's like, man, why do they do that? And you tell yourself, it's like, well, negative attention is still attention. They need, people need to be seen. They need to be heard. And if they're not heard, they make a noise so to make sure that they're heard, regardless of how they're being heard. Yeah. I mean, we've seen, and I think that's part of the, you see, good kids from, air quote, good families going down paths that, like, man, that really doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, they're well-to-do family, and they're I'm going to go there. They're upstanding members of their church, and
it's the worst, actually.
Well, that kid's sleeping around, and that kid's on drugs, and that kid just got nailed for shoplifting. And I'm like, man, what the heck happened here? But then you start paying attention, and there's so many times that the parents are so focused on, look at my kid, look at my life, look at how awesome I am, that they're not actually looking at their kids. They're so focused outwards. And I think that's part of the biggest downfall of man, is everyone's so worried about what everybody else thinks about them. Like, and I don't wear the nicest clothes. I don't drive the nicest cars. I don't live in the bestest neighborhood with the nicest house. And you know what? I don't give a crap if you like that or not.
Those are things.
Those are exactly. Those
are things.
I drive a car that gets me to and from where I need to be. I wear the clothes that keep me warm or protected from the elements that I'm currently dealing with. I live in the house that I can comfortably pay for, that keeps me warm and dry. Mm-hmm.
And it's a relatively safe area.
And it is a relatively safe area. And for the occasions that it's a little less than safe area, we have multiple cameras and an alarm system.
And when we say that, it's not like the ghetto.
No.
We're talking like petty crime stuff.
Oh,
like,
yeah, just
kids trying to break into cars.
Kids breaking into cars and stealing bikes and dumb crap.
That's the biggest thing since we've moved here.
Now, admittedly,
every summer you see it.
If you're living in a city, there is violent crime that happens. And it happens.
Yeah, that's north of us.
Not
really here.
It's around us. I mean, it's not here. I mean,
we had just,
but
I don't want to tailspin too hard on this, but probably what we've heard the most about have been officer related
yes.
incidences, not person to person.
Yeah.
And then even what we did hear about was domestic. So it wasn't somebody out like doing drive-bys. It was situations within a home.
Well, and when we lived up north, there was still people, person-on-person crime going
Absolutely.
on. In the middle of BFE.
The domestic stuff, sure.
Well, not always domestic stuff. I mean, there were much lower population. But yeah, there were still people getting killed by other people where we lived. In the middle of nowhere. It didn't have very different, but it wasn't as common. But when you've got 10,000 people or 1,000 people and 1% of it is crime, 1% of those people are crime. That's 100 people versus one person.
Okay, now I'm going to bring you back in.
Anyway.
Image.
Well, the
one word.
Yeah. Ego.
Oh, well,
pride.
I'll go with you there. Yep.
And honestly, that's one of those, like, there's a big push for being proud of things. Though. It's like, no, in all honesty, no.
When you look for love in all the wrong places, there's a reason.
You're looking for, in a manner of speaking. And I don't want that to be taken in a way I don't mean it to be taken. Pride is a vice, not a virtue. And I'm not saying, like your kid does something good, be proud of them. And let them know that you're proud of them. It's like I made a point when the girls were younger especially. We would go pick out a gift and give it to Toys for Tots. Was, what would you like to get? Let's go buy that and we'll put that in there. And a part of them looked forward to it. I was proud of that. It's like they're helping somebody else, and it made that. And it's like I'm proud of that. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between being proud of someone, and then taking pride in your own behavior. Yeah, there's a difference. It's very difficult for me to quantify, but that's a little. It's a little off topic, but
I get your correlation. So even when I read this, and it's like you have it off as silver spoon. Well, nothing is perfect.
No,
by any means.
No,
but intention and context, as you were just describing, is part of that.
Huge.
And
part of that.
Or you'll lick it off of a knife. Yeah. And that's my job is the people that are wounded. Yeah. I'm hearing the people that are wounded.
They're dealing with
realizing
the cuts.
that they've been licking it off knives.
Mm-hmm.
And helping them figure out why and how to not.
Yep.
And all the things that are now wrong with their life because of it.
Part of my problem, what you do, that's a very necessary thing. But part of the problem is you can't. And this is going to sound weird because it's literally the definition of my job. But it's really hard to fix what you didn't break.
Oh, I never claim to be able to fix.
That
is never guaranteed.
Well, no, I'm not saying you fix, but that is, like I said, that's the very definition of my job is fixing other things that other people broke. That is the very definition of what I do. But in psychologically speaking, when you're an adult and you've learned some resilience and toughness, other people can't break you the same. They can bruise, true. They can and do some superficial stuff. But when you're an adult and you're a mature adult who's grown up relatively healthy, other people can't hurt you like that. They can cause you grief, but they can't damage you as easily. When you're a small kid, you don't have those defenses. Your parents are supposed to be your defenses. And when it's your parents that are the problem, they can break you in ways that you can't fix it, and they certainly can't fix it. So then you have to figure it out.
There has to be some acknowledgement.
Yeah, and you're almost never going to get that.
Some boundaries.
But I think that's where, we all see it. We've all seen it. You know, those kids that are just starving for attention. So it's like, yeah, I got the good grades.
The cliche.
Well, hey, look, I got 6 A's and a B. Well, why'd you get a B instead of congratulations on the 6 A's?
Well, yeah, I've only upset one mother to the point where she wouldn't talk to me anymore from that very type of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
When she thought her daughter was capable of all A's, so God forbid her daughter asked for permission to not put the pressure on herself to continue to get straight A's.
It's just one of those. There's got to be a balance there.
And so when that's real.
That is real.
I'm gonna put it to you like this: you can hear the stories and the things, and you could like even know the parent that might be like that, but until you're actually face to face with one in a situation where you got to be real careful what you say and how you say it, and still advocate for the mental and emotional health of the client, their child, it's a weird feeling. Mm-hmm. That's a weird place to be in, let me tell you. Because the parent in me can't stand it. Mm-hmm. I can't stand that mindset. I didn't exactly have the most involved parents, right?
Sure.
I would have been the statistic, so to speak, licking it off a knife.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Thank you, honey. Thinking back, there was just so many things so backwards and so wrong. It doesn't matter if that was, quote, the best they knew how to do. It was awful. Mm-hmm. There were many elements that were awful.
Sure.
And that doesn't change the fact that it was awful. No. It was what I did with it and how I had to figure out and what I'm still figuring out.
Sure.
But it is not just a cliche, right? We talk about it. We've even talked about our daughter's friend. Mm-hmm. So classic, right?
Very much so.
With the daddy issues. So what'd she do? She just ran out looking for love in all the wrong places. And
here's where, okay, it's a little bit of a side note. It's related. There's a part of me that would love to have a conversation with him. That won't happen because we can't. I'm not a person in his life that has the ability.
I don't know the amount of healing he's done. It's been
some
time,
but
so
I'd
like to hope things are better.
There's the old adage: people don't care what you know until they know how much you care. Mm-hmm. We don't have that relationship where I can speak to him in that regard. But he's really didn't like the young man. For many reasons, some legitimate, some very superficial. It's just the fact you touch my daughter. We're already not on good terms. I get all of that. I can't even say I disagree, but I'm not saying I agree either. It's just I understand where you're coming from, and I get where your issues are. But you do realize, as her father, you set the standard for the man that she allows to enter into her life. Either as an example of who she should be looking for or who she shouldn't. That's the father's job, is to establish that standard.
And I know you've talked about that before.
And so she sees in that young man what she wanted to see in you and didn't, or did see in you that she wanted. So that young man has something that she didn't get from you that she needed from you.
Yeah, I think that's a very simple way of putting it, yeah.
It is. That's a very simplified. No, that's not 100%. All that, just whatever. It's just like generalities from my personal observation.
If you ask our daughter, it's all still a cluster, and she's settling, and now they're engaged. It's garbage. That she's basically just resigned, and she blew up her life for this guy, so now she's going to marry him.
Sure.
Yeah, there's probably some truth there.
There's the effect, and then there's the cause. That's the effect. Mm-hmm. But what drew him to her in the first place? Or her to him?
Her to him.
Yeah. She's adorable and sweet and likable. I get why he would be attracted to her. Sure. But what was the attraction to him? And I don't know what it is. I haven't had that conversation. I don't necessarily want to. I do know.
I have had some of those conversations with her a few years ago.
You and I have a very different relationship with this young woman, and that would not be it would not be appropriate for me to broach that subject. Okay.
There was a point where she admitted it was to piss her parents off.
Sure, there's a part of it there.
She did admit that.
To a point.
In the beginning.
I mean,
you're talking about a ongoing secret relationship for some time. But
that's why you go out with the guy. That's not why you stay with the guy.
Now, and we've talked about this before, but even in this scenario and what we're talking about, let's take a piece of that and take it out and relate it to our own daughter, right? In the silver spoon mentality here. Okay, both our daughters really. Mm-hmm. But the one that's lived through this experience, this very difficult experience, and watched this play out in front of her, and is now incredibly gun shy about relationships. Mm-hmm. She wants nothing to do with them.
Which is which is its own issue that she needs to deal with.
An adverse effect of something that has nothing to do with you, mm-hmm. right? Because we've done the best to model good relationship. You've been done the best to be a good father in that way.
I've definitely striven to do so.
But we could not change what in life was going to impact her. Though she knows the difference between the silver spoon and the knife, mm-hmm. right? We can hope that she doesn't become so hyper fixated that she never even tries.
Yeah. And we will be having those kind of conversations and experiences.
Because it's not all just...
No.
It's not all like what her friend went through, for sure.
No.
It's not all like what we went through.
No.
Right?
Which she does laugh at quite a bit.
She does. She does.
Yep.
It isn't all, high school sweethearts.
No.
It isn't all just you meet the one you're going to marry and have your life with when you're a teenager.
No.
Though
it's nice when that happens, but...
And it's ugly. There's going to be ugliness. There's going to be ugliness, most likely.
Yeah, well, there's two human beings interacting with each other. There's going to be rough spots. But anyway, yeah.
But it's... When you look at this quote, I mean, yeah, it's kind of an odd way of putting something we've really talked about different elements of, but I'm going to bring it up because it's relevant. Even with a client I started with this week, you're talking a grown man, I don't know, probably in his 50s, in the midst of a potential divorce, moving on into a different relationship, and talking to him, I immediately realized what he was looking for. Because it was lacking in his marriage, it's what he found in this other relationship, and that's why it was important to him. Right? Mm-hmm. It does not matter how old you are.
No.
We are all seeking that. Love, affection, attention, mm-hmm. affirmations. We were made for connection. We were literally made for connection. God's design.
Sure.
When things go sideways, that process goes sideways. Mm-hmm. Your mindset.
Yes.
The intentionality of it, how you live it out. It is a balance. It's important to keep.
Yes.
I get it. I mean, one session. I don't have all the details.
Sure.
But it's not even a judgment thing. I get it. I do. And according to him, like, they were already separated, and they've been separated. Mm-hmm. And this was just something that he didn't see coming, and it happened. But that scenario kind of fits this. Mm-hmm. When you're not getting off the silver spoon, not getting it from your marriage, not getting it from the person you're with, even if you're not married, you will go find it elsewhere. In another way. And it doesn't even have to be another relationship. Mm-hmm. It can be forming just another terrible habit.
Yes. Well, or forming a terrible habit. And I do kind of like the imagery of how they put it.
Yeah.
It's like you're going to damage yourself in some fashion to get the thing that you need.
Yes.
And
as people getting pregnant on purpose to try to stay in a relationship. That's happened.
Yes, it happens all the time.
That happened to your cousin.
Baby trapping happens all the time. Yeah.
Um, it, people will do things
Mm-hmm.
that will be damaging.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just going and finding another partner
No.
or being in a bad relationship.
No, but it's will be sticking around in a place
is
where
it
you
healthy?
shouldn't in the first place. And yeah, there's it's a little, it's tangential but related. There's something I've said, and I've heard people say similar things. But I always like to say that the biggest sin your kids will do for you is to grow up into being people, or they'll fail to grow into the people that you decided they were supposed to be before you met them. A lot of people, they have kids, and they expect them, it's like, this kid is going to be a lawyer, and they're going to play the piano at concert level, and they're going to get 4-point GPA in high school and college, and they're going to play football or soccer and baseball, and they're going to be amazing. And then you get that kid that's not great at school. They're not a particularly good musician. They're a great painter, or they're a poet, and they suck at sports. And you keep giving them the attention of a scholar and an athlete, when what they need is the love and attention of a poet and a painter. And you hold it against them that they're not who you thought they were going to be before you knew who they were. And a lot of times before they know who they are. So you're giving them, you're feeding your pet parakeet puppy chow because you wanted a puppy.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, sure.
So, that parakeet that you had instead of the puppy will do what's necessary they will take the little tidbits that they can get regardless of how much it's going to hurt them. And you're causing, it's like, the bird will eat the food eventually and is going to do them harm, and they're not going to be as strong and as healthy and as, in this case, taking that analogy to people, it's like they're not going to be mentally healthy. They're not going to be emotionally healthy. And you're not building a strong healthy relationship with them because you keep giving them the food they're not designed to take. Because they're not who you decided they were supposed to be before you met them. Now, I get some people, they don't know how to feed their parakeet. They kind of know how to take care of a puppy. So they do what they can do because it's the best that they can do. Which is, that's better than what some people do when they just give up and let things just wither. But, I've told our girls many times, I have probably said something similar to you. It's like, I do in the moment the best that I can do. And it might not be enough, and for that I'm sorry. I acknowledge it's the best I've got, and if it comes up short, please know that wasn't intentional because I did the best that I could do. And I think that's how you allow your failings and shortfalls to not become the knife that cuts them.
Acknowledgement of shortcoming,
Sure. Well, and especially,
and if they're cognizant enough to even understand,
well,
that's also helpful.
And especially in, you by doing that when they were young, because I kind of had that kind of, it's like I'm doing the best that I can. It gives them the opportunity to tell you how to do it better. I'm doing the best that I know how to do. It kind of opens the door to allow them to speak into you what they need in their life. Because in all honesty, it's like I don't really necessarily agree with the silver spoon thing.
Yeah, it's always tarnished.
Well, yeah, but it's like sometimes the best you got is an old wooden spoon that your grandma gave you, because that's all you got. Not everybody has the silver set to start with. You give what you got. But the difference is you give them what they need so they don't have to take it in ways that's going to cause them pain, things that are going to hurt others. Yeah, there's a lot of broken people in the world who ended up, the only way they were going to get fed was by licking it off of knives.
Yes.
And it's a sports analogy, I guess, but there's the idea. It's like you put everything you've got into the game. You leave it all out on the field. When the game is over, you are a sweating, tired, exhausted mess that needs to get carried off because you left nothing on the bench. As people, we should be doing that less for the game and more for the people that we've got in our lives. When all in said, it's like, yeah, you know what? My girls might look back and go, my dad hugged me so freaking much, it was irritating as snot. Okay? But if I'm going to get exhausted in my life, I would rather be exhausted showing my girls that I love them than here's the leftovers of my life. I'm sorry. I would love, it's like, oh, you got this thing you want to go do. Well, you go have fun with that. I'm going to go take a nap because I spent all my life at work. I don't have anything left to give you. Like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Admittedly, I spend a lot of time at work, but oh, you got something going on? Well, I'll just go to bed early and I will get up early. I'll cut in a couple, I'll take a nap for a couple hours and let's go do that thing.
You've always been very cognizant of that.
Yes.
Being present.
I can't be there for everything, but if it matters, you tell me it matters, I'm going to do my best to be there for you. Or do my best to make sure that happens. You like our youngest. You want an art class? Okay. You want to do? It was
different when they were younger.
Yeah, sure.
It was more. There was more things.
Sure. Now it's you want to take up that? Oh, what do we got to do? Kind of goes along with some of the other stuff that we've talked about. It's like you're interested in guitar. Here's a guitar. It's not a good guitar. It's a cheap guitar. Here's a guitar.
We've tried to be supportive.
It's like, and I mean...
But also teach them standards.
Sure. It's like, if part of it is, it's discovering who they are, but in the process of discovering who they are, you discover how they need to be fed. How do you know them if you don't know them? How can you take care of them the way that they need to be taken care of if you never figured out who they are in the first place? Like, our daughter's friend... Her entire life was dictated to her. And when she didn't live up to that expectation, she felt abandoned. Like, yeah, you know what? I understand being upset with your kids and disappointed in your kids. I get that. I understand.
We use her as an example a lot.
We do. She's kind of an extreme example. But,
she's in our life.
It doesn't matter. It's like, at no point in their lives, I would like to think at no point in their lives did our girls ever think that how we felt about them was conditional. I can be disappointed. I can be upset. I love you regardless, and I'm going to do my dangest for you.
I'd like to think that they would have.
You are not conditional. Yeah. We brought you into this world. It is our obligation to take care of you, and we're going to do the best of our ability. We will fall short. We will mess up. We will make mistakes. We will do the wrong thing. But it's a conscious thing. It's like you have to, and you got to not be ignorant to the fact that your kids are unique, totally unique individuals that defy any plan that you might have had before you met them. And you have to give them what they need regardless. And if they're starved of anything, their lives are going to fall apart. If they needed attention and you didn't give it, they're going to get attention. They're going to get it from you in a bad way by, setting the house on fire. Known a kid that wasn't trying to burn down the house, but tried to burn down the house. They're going to get attention one way or the other, and especially when they're little, they want your attention, and if they don't get it, they're going to get it. They're going to break stuff. They're going to act out. They're going to throw tantrums. They're going to, and when they get older, if you don't give them the attention that they need, they'll find attention. They'll find attention in the worst places, with the worst people, doing the worst kinds of things. And, it's like, well, how can my kid do that? Well, did you give them another option? Did you give them the healthy option, which was your attention? Well, they have your attention now that they're knocked up and unemployed and kicked out of high school. Got your attention, didn't they? Well, now they have your undivided attention. They needed that 10 years ago. But now they've got it undivided. Well, how could they do that? Well, they got what they needed from elsewhere, and that's where that leads.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not trying to say that every time a kid does something stupid, it's on the parents. Not saying that. But there is a tendency.
There is something to be said for the reaction.
Yes. Yeah,
the reaction's it's going to be part of it.
Yes. Now, and I'm also not saying it's like if your kid goes down that road that you're to blame for it. Simply, like, no. You may have been giving everything that you had at the time, and now you know better. Or now you're not even necessarily know better. If all you've got is 50% and you give that 50% and they needed 60, you can't give what you don't have. And now that you're older and smarter and stronger, it's like, yeah, I can give 80% now. My max is, somebody else's 80%. And you give that 80%. Like, okay, cool. That, you learn, you grow. And sometimes people are just people, it's like some people are just wired weird. But there is something to be said for if you understand that your kid is wired weird, you can learn how to adapt to that. At least to a point.
Yeah, to a point.
Some people are wired to be a problem for society. I would say it could be argued against that, but it would be very difficult, I think, to argue that there isn't some people that are just wired antisocial. That are wired a certain way. And, your kid might be one of them. Hard to say. But there is a majority of the time that's not the case. Something probably could have been done. And there's a lot of times, though, that it's pretty blatantly obvious if you're actually paying attention that it's like, this isn't right. And if you're mad because of... Here's where I knew, nope, this is on you more than the kid. When I heard the response, what do you mean you're pregnant? How is this going to make me look?
Yeah.
Came out of somebody's mouth.
Yeah.
It was a bad moment. There is no doubt in my mind now as to where the fundamental problem was. The fundamental problem was it was always about you and not about your kid. It was about your optics and not your reality. That was... And it's about the reality that matters. When they got more upset that people found out their life was perfect, or wasn't perfect, than the fact that their kid's life was falling apart. I was like, yeah, no, please understand. That right there, that is the problem. And that in and of itself isn't the problem, but living your life like that was the problem.
There's a lot of poor decisions made.
There were, and I think she was old enough to actually comprehend that this was a bad idea, and she acted anyway. So I'm not laying it all at her parents' feet, but they did pave the freaking road to bad decisions. And they paved it in gold and made sure it didn't have any potholes, and then they greased it to make sure that it slid nicely down that freaking alley.
And there's a lot to that, but I'm not a trauma expert by any means. I've read a lot. I've learning things here and there. I'm an expert about my own trauma.
There you go.
Thank you. But
ditto.
But
and I've spent too much time watching people to not have seen the patterns.
As I learn more. There's big T, little t, right? Like the micro traumas that happen to us. It's subjective.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, from some of the things she talked about, some of the things she described, and particularly this young lady, trauma is also a huge piece of that. Mm-hmm. So even if we take her out as the example,
well,
there are actual, and I don't want to go too much longer, but there are actual disorders.
Oh, sure.
Quantifiable disorders that can manifest from not dealing with things appropriately, right? Some of those traumas appropriately. Mm-hmm. But one of those things in terms of this little blurb, this quote, is that you're going
to get
part
fed.
of that acting out is going for the knife.
You're going to be fed.
And it can be a very, very dark road to go down.
A person starving is going to get food wherever they can get it. But it kind of occurred to me, it's like, well, when instead of using the spoon, you're using the knife to feed them.
Yeah, that's accurate too. And then they don't know any better.
Yeah, even if they knew better, they're still starving. They're going to take it.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of elements to it.
There's a lot to it. That got dark.
I know it did. It got dark. What happened?
Started off funny and light and weird,
do?
And it went dark.
Gosh, it was all on you. I didn't do that.
Sure.
We need to stop using her as an example all the time. It's terrible, but it's so real.
It's kind of hard to argue. It's like, yeah, you can disagree with what we're saying, but here's an example that we watched happen. We watched the whole dang thing, and regardless of what, there was
irreparably changed.
There was at no point, like, we want to help, and there's at no point we were ever put in a position where we could. And then when I found an inn, that inn turned into be its own drama. You know, somebody else had the authority to speak into their lives, and they used that as to cause more trauma rather than help. And that's another thing in and of itself that we don't need to go into. All that being said.
What's wrong with you in the darkness? Let's go have a cheery day. Let's make it cheery. We can do this.
Oh, yeah, doing yard work and working on the car. And so, yay, happy.
But we're together.
Yes.
We're together, and it's a beautiful day.
It's nice, yes.
And there's no time crunches, none of that. Just some things that need to be taken care of.
Sure.
It's still a chill weekend.
There's a part of me, I want to find green crusties, but not really bad green crusties, just little bitty green crusties.
What?
In the car. Because if I find the green crusties, that very well could be our problem, and it's all fixed.
Green crusties.
Yes. My mechanic friends out there know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Then that's just where we're going to leave it.
Yeah.
Let's just do that. Let's just end it with that weird statement.
Okay. For those non-mechanically inclined individuals out there specifically, most electrical connectors inside of a car are copper-based, sometimes have a silver silver layer for better conductivity, but that isn't always the case. Sometimes they're brass, but regardless. But you get a little bit of moisture where it shouldn't be, plus electrical flow leads to rapid, or at least relatively rapid oxidation, which builds this greenish hued from the copper, crusty crud on your electrical connections that are in and of themselves somewhat conductive, causing shorts, so voltage going where voltage shouldn't be, which will mess up any kind of electrical system, or at least make it behave incorrectly. And the intermittent, more consistent issue that we've got going on right now with the daughter's car that I'm going to work on could be and has been caused by green crusties where there isn't supposed to be any, which is nowhere, but in the wrong spot, causing issues. So I'm hoping to find some green crusties that I can clean out and make the car better.
Got it. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the when there's issues going on, weird issues going on in your life somewhere, you got a green crusty you got to find and clean out. Just saying.
Wow. You just pulled that right around.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yep.
Okay.
Life is like a crappy car.
Wow.
Always something going wrong. And it's usually too expensive to fix. Or it's usually too expensive to have somebody else fix.
Oh, gosh. Lots of truth there. Okay.
I still love that old joke, though. It holds true so often. Like GM makes cars that run poorly longer than most cars run at all.
It's running.
It's still
Paid
running.
for and it's running.
It's a car that by the numbers should have died like 100,000 miles ago, and it's still going.
It's doing just fine.
Fine is subjective.
Listen.
But it keeps going, and that's the important part. It just keeps going, and I'll take it.
Right now she's not working, so it's not getting run as much, and it's probably just as well.
Yep.
So
this is true.
Silver linings.
There's still 3 other cars sitting in the garage.
Silver linings.
Yard. So anyway, it's all good. It's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, hope
Wanna
everybody's having a good one, and you had some fun along the weird journey. I hope it didn't get too weird for you. Hope not.
We could get weirder, but we'll leave it there.
We could. I can
Sorry
go.
about the darkness.
Man, I could go so much darker.
No.
I work very
That's
hard.
not the point.
It isn't. But my personality, that's where my head is, and I work very hard to change that. I try to focus. I actively, it's one of those, you choose where your focus is, and your focus determines your reality. Mm-hmm. And I work very hard to choose to look at the light more than the shadow. But my brain it wants to run to the shadows. It likes it there. So, work in progress.
Work in progress.
Yep. Anyway.
Thank you for listening to us this week.
In our weird, rambling sort of way. Hope you enjoy. Hope
try
you
to
enjoy.
make it more cohesive next week.
And if you do, tell a friend. And if you don't tell anybody. Oh, crap. Anyway, so with that, I'm Fix It.
I'm Feel It.
We hope you join us in the future.
Until next week.
Y'all have a great one.